As arch nemeses, James and I have many points of contention.
They're gross and they have stevia in them.
One of them being the artistic merit of the video game.
I'm feeling weirdly emotional.
It's okay.
Are video games art? When he first asked me this, I immediately responded, "What? No." To which he replied, "That's because your comfort game is Batman."
Okay, look, I am not smack-talking Batman, but it's not a game that'll make you feel something. Outer Wilds, I feel it. Short Hike, feel it, Mr. Krabs.
Maybe when I play Batman, I feel like Batman.
Who even knows what that means? What complicates this is the commodification of artistic media such that they aren't always considered art. Katria, as a graphic designer, says graphic design is an art, but design is an artistic medium. So why isn't graphic design art in her eyes? Because there is an almost purely commercial motivation behind its creation and less emotional involvement from her as the graphic designer, perhaps. I'd argue this is still art, especially because she researches her designs and interprets the intention and emotion of business owners in order to create. But let's follow this thread for just a minute. If you accept this line of logic, then you could easily argue that a corporation-led AAA game, like, I don't know, the Batman series, containing a massive number of individual pieces of art isn't art, because of its purely commercial and capitalistic intent. Some might say that the Marvel movies, and I guess the DC movies too, aren't art for similar reasons. But even if you subscribe to this line of logic, there are still games made by individuals or small groups of people, which is often one of our cultural qualifiers for art, that have a ridiculously short pathway from the emotion that the creator intended to the emotions it inspires in its audience. There are experiences that critique the very media that they exist in. Surely that qualifies as art.
Honestly, on our journey developing our game, Hive and Hollow, my opinion has changed. I do think that games can be art. James is a little more liberal with the use of the word. I don't know if I'd consider all games art in the same way that I don't know if I'd consider all paintings art. If we've lost you here, I think that we can all at least agree that games are made up of art. Writing is art. Music is art. Art is art. And most consider movies to be art, so we're basically halfway there. I think what makes art difficult to define is that it's kind of this weird two-way street. Does art come from the intent of the artist or from the eyes of the viewer? Is something art if the artist never intended for others to experience it? I think so, because even if nobody else experienced it, the artist did. So perhaps then we could define art as some kind of statement, a mark or a moment for someone to say, I was here and this is how I viewed or interpreted the world. And if others look at it or identify with it, it becomes a shared sentiment. Someone else's experience making a person feel seen, understood. Art is creation, not just for functionality's sake, but for shared humanity. So to help us understand the artistry of video games, let's be specific. What makes art? What makes good art? What makes bad art? In all of this philosophizing, I think that we're leaning towards art being a creative expression of someone's personal experience that evokes emotion. I'd argue that good art is a majority showcase of technical skill, knowledge, or mastery, evokes clear emotion, or feels original in its time. And bad art makes you think not of the art itself, but of the execution.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Bad art lacks technical skill or mastery, or doesn't feel genuine. Traditionally, what fits into that framework are things like the Mona Lisa, the Can't Help Myself robot, Swan Lake, or banana on a wall. And some games put a lot of stock into these elements that we traditionally view as artistic.
Think of the stunning visuals in games like Clear Obscure or the immersive story in games like Clair Obscur, or even the music in games like Clair Obscur. Would you look at that? They won it all again. But what about the video game genre uniquely makes it art all on its own? Player involvement. If you've played a video game before, I'm sure you've felt something, and more often than not, those feelings that you experience were something intentionally placed there by the developers during the design process. And more often than not, those feelings that you were experiencing were not an accident. They were intentionally crafted by the developers during the game design process.
Take Silksong for example. I mentioned in our last video that playing as Hornet makes me feel like a badass, and part of that is because of the dialogue. But another part of that, I think, is because of its unique healing system and the game difficulty. It's pretty normal in action games to heal through hitting enemies, but Silksong forces you to be tactful about using this heal. In the original game, the knight had the ability to conservatively heal one mask at a time, but it's not like that in Silksong. Each heal uses enough silk to fill 3 masks, whether you have 3 masks empty or not. And if you only need to heal 1 mask, this feels like a waste to use it. On the other hand, once your silk meter is full, you can't keep collecting silk, so that it also feels wrong to not use it in those circumstances. The system encourages more risk-taking and forces players to let their health get lower than they would if they only needed to heal 1 mask at a time. Silksong asks the player to dance with death, jumping from being 1 hit away from being sent back to a bench to relative safety with the press of a button.
No! Get out of there, bro!
Oh, he's so good.
This mechanic feels thematically appropriate for, or even characterizes, Hornet, while also giving the player more moments of emotional tension than Hollow Knight. And the thing is, I'm not a risk taker in real life. I squat over public toilet seats.
Phyllis, you'd squat for us.
Can you see it on camera? Hold on.
We'll use that.
That's the one? Can you see it? Can you see how jacked my legs are?
Yeah, sure can. No, I can't. Did you see your torso?
But this game has changed how I perceive risk. In game, of course, I still squat. And I think that this makes me feel more like how they intend for Hornet to feel. Efficiently timed heals, precise movements, and the slow build of massive, hulking power. This game puts you through the ringer at every moment, but the intentional teaching through the enemies that are introduced slowly but surely, and the level design that keeps you out of certain places until you're familiar with the controls, puts you more and more in the mindset of a character who has the skill to back up her massive ego. Shaw, bitch.
Hadino.
And since James made me mention Batman earlier.
I did not. You wrote that.
Okay, but the Batman games have made me feel like Batman. Feelings. I felt like Batman. A badass in his own right without the difficulty of Silksong. The puzzle elements combined with the stealth and the ridiculous button mashing beat 'em up have me coming back to this game to this day. Yes, it is my comfort series. This was one of the first games that I played where I felt like I had actual options in how to approach conflict. I got to think about how I would approach different enemies, and there was an array of different tools at my disposal. Being able to interact with the environment around me was... yes. There were so many games before where the environment was just a secondary thing. Just art. Popping out from a vent and sideswiping a dude or bashing some guy's head in with a light fixture really makes you feel like you're a part of the world.
Why is that art?
I told you, I feel like Batman. That's why this is art.
many of these reviews read exactly the same. It makes you feel eerily like Batman. The player really feel like Batman. Could not look or feel more Batman. Made us feel like we would feel like Batman.
Of course, these two games represent the extreme embodiment of godlike characters. Hornet and Batman make you feel like a badass, where on the opposite side of the spectrum there is Disco Elysium, which makes you feel like a sad sack of rocks. You get to play as an alcoholic detective who has lost his entire memory in the biggest bender of his life, apparently. But like, for real though, I don't think I've ever played a game that has made me feel so much physical stress, but has also had me laughing out loud consistently. Disclaimer. Disclaimer? I am a chump. I do have to go and hide behind a couch every now and then when I'm watching a movie or a TV show because of secondhand embarrassment. But this game took it to an entirely new level. And that's because the embarrassment was now firsthand. This is one of the few games with choice where I didn't save scum, and I think that that's part of the reason that makes it so much easier to embody someone that's so far from who I feel like I am as a person. And I think a lot of that is due to the developers' careful craftsmanship of the game. There are skill checks, kind of like in D&D, where ridiculous, hilarious things happen when you fail, but the game also includes more than one way to continue on in your objective. And honestly, there are so many choices that it seems like it might feel arduous to save scum through it. And the thing is, sometimes successes are failures.
Merde! Bordel de merde!
Which in turn means sometimes some failures are successes. Sometimes the choice is a trap. I think if this game were a movie, I would still feel some of that stress over the detective's actions, but the embarrassment wouldn't feel so personal. Brief spoilers here. The first little chunk where you're actually finally starting to feel like you're making some progress, you're starting to remember who you are, you're starting to pick up the pieces in perhaps solving the murder, you make your way to the union leader, Everett Clare's office, and he tears you all the way down. I felt like complete and total poo-poo. I was failing all of the checks, I was losing composure, and Everett's just dancing around the office like, oh, I hope there's not a loaded gun in my city. Oh, wouldn't want a 3-year-old to be pointing a loaded gun in his mouth. Ooh, it would be so irresponsible if a detective lost his loaded gun in my city. Do my bidding.
It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths.
Just throwing my lost gun in my face. You see that? I said it was my gun. You see what this game does to you? Not Harry's gun, my gun. And that's what video games do. I've lived lifetimes, I've traveled distance, I've communed with others, human and otherwise. The developers did a great job making you feel like this sad, pitiful character through the writing, the narrations, and your interactions with the other characters.
Ask him if he's lost his gun too. Sergeant Orson wants to know if you lost your gun too, over.
Pass or fail some of these checks, you still don't know who you are or why you're in this situation. This is a far cry from the god complex you get from playing as the chosen one in other games. It is a completely different artistic statement on its own. But what about games that don't require for you to be someone else, but just want you to be you? We talked about this in our last video, check it out if you haven't seen it already, but silent protagonists offer you the chance to self-impose on a blank canvas. This allows you to be part of the art. You can create a character through your actions since your words don't act for you, or simply be yourself. Undertale uses this blank canvas approach to engage directly with you as the player instead of having you embody some other character. They utilize your predispositions as a person and as a video game player to create emotional tension in your gaming experience. If you haven't played Undertale already, I'm gonna stop you right here. All of the video games that we're going to be talking about in this video are in the description. You can go ahead and skip to the next one. Maybe give Undertale a shot blind. I played it for the first time blind for this video at the suggestion of a commenter on our last video, and James, who wanted to make sure that I stayed completely spoiler free, wouldn't let me look up anything about the game before I played it, and I feel like that really enhances the experience of it. I would recommend you giving it a shot that way if you're into kind of like character-driven exploratory vibes. And for those of you who have already played it and want to stick around, hello there. Come in a little closer. Let's talk about this. Me and your father have something to tell you, child. The fight at the end of the tutorial level with Toriel gives us our first glimpse into how the game expects us to play it, with mercy and compassion. As my health bar started to lower, I felt more urgency to do something differently. I should attack, I thought. This is clearly what needs to be done in the moment. And for many people who play video games where fighting is the intended pathway through, this is natural. And this moment with Toriel was the first time a challenge was presented to me, because all of the other monsters that I'd faced before were easily overcome without violence. But this was different. I almost immediately used my one heal item, the cinnamon butterscotch pie, which if you haven't made that thing in real life, oh my gosh, it is amazing. James's mom made me one for my birthday. I'm still dreaming about that thing. And then I felt stupid for using it, because then I got my tush handed to me by Goat Mommy. And then right as I had a tiny sliver of health left, Toriel's attack was weak. Relief. I felt so lucky to have ended up with an easy mini-game for that go-around. But surely, I thought I was gonna die in the next moment. And then another weak attack, and another, and... Oh! She's purposefully avoiding me because she doesn't want me to die. Warmth. Toriel's visual design also kind of contributes to this uncertainty. She's drawn with mostly round, friendly shapes, smooth lines, but then her horns and fangs offer a concerning contrast. This is part of your first introduction to this game. You don't know this person. I don't like this. Why you keep leaving?
She's telling you to follow her.
I know, but it's creepy the way she's looking at me. She's like, come here. Over here now. They're not familiar to you as the player or the character. Why are you acting like my mama? You're not even my mama. I just fell out of a hole. Which the game seems to represent as an extension of you as the player and not a person with a separate backstory. Check out our last video if the idea of this intrigues you. And though Toriel keeps you safe, she also withholds information. She plans to keep you there. She plans to not let you leave. Her intentions are good. We don't know that in the beginning, but they're restrictive. They prevent you from playing the game. The deliberate way layers are slowly peeled back, revealing more and more information while also giving you the authority on whether or not you should trust this person, perfectly set the tone for the rest of the game. During a pacifist run, many of the bosses have mechanics that make you feel like you truly have to fight to win. Papyrus keeps locking you up, Undyne pursues you endlessly, but one by one they show you that there's another way to deal with your enemies. The Great Papyrus! I've never been beaten at dating and I never will! What is it? I don't know what the new accent is coming from.
It's been like slowly changing into chocolate.
On the first playthrough, most players are used to playing other games where fighting is the main mechanic. The developers utilize that mindset, flipping it on its head through storytelling and gameplay. And to hammer it home, your fight with Flowey at the end amps it up to 1,000,000. This deranged Daisy is hitting you with what feel like impossible to counter attacks. The entire screen feels like it's full of danger by this point. There is so much high stress at this point. You die, you restart the game, you die again, you come back angry. Then somehow all of this is quelled with respite. Rasputin. This is all made to feel intense because of the mechanics. The attacks do more damage when you're at full house. You might notice after playing it for a while that the attacks from Flowey do more damage when your health bar is full, less when you're on the verge of empty. But in the heat of the moment, you as the player don't usually recognize this. You just realize, I'm already low on health. How did this happen so quickly? I'm going to die. So every movement feels impactful. And once you finally manage to win, in the midst of all the chaos, the game puts Flowey before you and asks you to offer mercy. Meanwhile, you're coming down from the stress the mechanics have intentionally induced, wondering if you're gonna give up your entire pacifist run just to strangle this little turd. Undertale feels like art because of the thoughtful construction of its storyline and the unique way it utilizes gameplay mechanics to make players rethink their view of video games and maybe their view of the world. Part of what helps with that self-examination that Undertale gives are the other characters. But what happens when there are no other characters? Cue games like Stanley Parable that self-insert into your world and make you reckon with your own reality. Stanley Parable is a walking simulator where you play as Stanley, a salaryman who sits in his office all day pressing the buttons he's told to until it's time to go home. But one day he shows up to work and no one's there. And for the first time, he has to figure out what he wants to do on his own instead of being told what to do. And every action of this is narrated.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
So you have two options, or really several options if you think about it. You can follow the narrator's prescribed path forward, beating the game in the traditional yet sort of unsatisfying way. Or you can do everything in your power to antagonize the narrator.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Because how many times in other games have you wanted to see what else is out there instead of what's right in front of you? How many times have you wanted to fight with the developer over what you could and couldn't do? And these feelings are all contained within the Stanley Parable, the developer playing with you through the narrator as their stand-in. Rising above everything you try to do as if to say, I thought you might try this. It's a cheeky love letter to mischievous gamers. Right at the beginning, you are shown the game's intent. You are introduced to two doors. A simple choice. But before you can make that choice, the narrator tells you which door to go in.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
You're supposed to go to the door on the left. And for most players, a twinge of rebellion is awoken. What if I don't want to go through the left door? And you get to choose. What if I want to go through the right door? What's through the right door anyways? Whether you choose the left door or the right, it's a clear wink from the game that you can choose whatever you want. And it rewards you for that with the most ridiculous rooms and circumstances and scenarios and dialogue. And I think that the Stanley Parable isn't just a statement on choice in video games. I think it's also a statement on choice in life. For those of us that live like Stanley, it's easy to see yourself through his eyes, going into your dead-end job every day, wishing that you didn't have to just do what was in front of you and that you could indeed do whatever you wanted. You ever just want to like climb a mound of dirt you see like in the country, like you just come across like a field with a big old pile of dirt, you just want to stop the car and climb it? Or what if I want to just like not do anything else? What if I want to become one of those trampoline dudes and I just want to learn how to flip on the trampoline for like a month and then I just want to go and what if I want to play the ukulele? What if I want to learn how to play the ukulele? I want to be one of those ukulele girls. What if I want to... Should I go get my blanket? We're going to take a brief detour here. We've been talking a lot about games with dialogue and narrative-driven gameplay and how all of that artsy-fartsy stuff is, you know, top tier. But I'm going to argue something revolutionary. I don't think all of that is necessary for a game to be considered art. Oh, this game that I'm about to talk about is just a demo, so I don't know if I'm qualified to determine its artistic merit yet. It said that it was going to come out December 31st. It's January 8th. So to be determined on the release date. Listen, I know how it goes. I'm not judging. I know that the game development process is long and arduous, and sometimes your eyes are bigger than your stomach. James and I played about 8 hours worth of games for Steam Next Fest back in June 2025, and this is one of the games that was recommended to us by a commenter on TikTok. We had no idea what to expect, but I knew from the visuals that it felt like my vibe. Tamashika. So it's an arcade-style shooter, but I will fight anyone to the death who says that this game is not art. It's violent and chaotic and fun, but somehow also becomes meditative. The mechanics are so simple. It's walk, stab, shoot. There's more to it than that, but them's the basics. Throughout the different levels, your environment changes and the enemy mechanics vary, but your goal is to get to the end of the level without dying. And then when you do die, you're pulled quickly back to the start like in a fever dream. Like none of it ever happened, and you get to start again. Which at first can feel frustrating, but after a while, it just becomes meditative. The game involves repetition, and I feel like it literally rewires your brain to focus as you're playing it. You're paying attention to sounds, watching movements, keeping pace. It was the visuals that made me want to try this game, and I know we're not here to talk about that today. Yes, visual stuff is art. But I feel like they specifically add to the meditative nature of the game. The people that you fight are amorphous blobs. Cutting them open isn't jarring, and seeing their smiling, creepy little faces run at you trying to stab you isn't necessarily scary. It's fun and chaotic and goofy. The experience of playing this game was absolutely immersive. The repetition makes death feel like no big deal, and you realize the more you play that turning your brain off and trusting yourself is really the way to succeed. James and I were going back and forth on whether or not to include this one on the list. It departs so much from what is traditionally viewed as art, but to me it felt like the video game equivalent of like an abstract painting. I didn't need to think too hard to understand that the point is to appreciate it, enjoy, move forward. Not every game is art, and not every game is intended to be art though. Game Design Workshop looks at the role of a game designer as primarily designing and facilitating play, and players as wanting to grow, be social, and make time pass rather than experiencing these big emotional epiphanies. But often designers intuitively understand emotional experiences enhance gameplay even when the goal of the game isn't emotional resonance. And as with other forms of art, players can have emotional reactions to things that the developers didn't even intend. For example, in the more traditional art space, Can't Help Myself Robot that we mentioned earlier, the artist intended for it to be about border violence, authoritarianism, and surveillance. But a more recent TikTok audience interpreted it as being a Sisyphean work about the futility of labor and mortality, which is a valid and potentially compatible interpretation, but not the artist's original intent. Art is often a dance between the artist and the audience, and sometimes a solo with just the artists themselves. And while I don't necessarily consider like Pong or League of Legends art, there's probably someone out there that can see their beauty and feel the emotion behind the works. It was even difficult for James and I to agree on which games to include as art in this video. Between the two of us, this video could have easily been 8 hours long if the two of us were left to wax poetic on all of the artsy-fartsy games that we know and love. But there was one game that the two of us agreed should definitely be on this list and in this video, and I haven't even finished playing it yet. I'm gonna give my 2 cents on the game that I've played thus far. James refuses to give his 2 cents about it, even though he's finished it and loves it, because he's worried that I'm gonna get spoilers. But if you haven't played the game yet and you like space exploration, puzzlers, a little bit of mystery, maybe this is the part where you go to the description and click the next timestamp. A little tiny baby spoiler warning right here. But Outer Wilds made me feel curious. It provided a unique gameplay loop that I'd never experienced in other games before. Death is inevitable, and you're caught in this time loop of exploration and dying. After a certain amount of time, I think that the sun explodes maybe. I'm still working through it though, because James won't tell me anything. But you're not told much of anything except for that you're going on a space trip for the first time, and the game leaves you to create your own pathway. Any direction that you want to go in, you can. You get breadcrumbs to follow all across the map, a song on this planet, alien text on this wall of this planet, some weird abandoned structure on this one, and you dig as deep as you can until time runs out and you have to start again. The inevitability of death and the fact that you have no possessions to hoard or lose make exploration a little bit more fun. You get more comfortable taking risks to find out why you're here and how you can get out of this loop. A game like Outer Wilds with a large map and plenty to do in every direction make you feel free to explore and make mistakes. A similar game that provides a little more peace is A Short Hike. It has one objective: get to the top of the mountain and call your mama. But you get to meet all these other animals with quirky dialogue and build your endurance and explore. Playing this game makes one feel warm. It's what I wish sharing the world with other people felt like naturally. Unfortunately, as a socially anxious introvert, people are scary. I'm not walking up to a rando on the beach to play beach stick ball with them, however much I'd like to. You have a larger goal, but there doesn't seem to be a big looming deadline that makes trivial shenanigans feel unnecessary. There is an overwhelming sense of peace playing this game, and getting to the top feels so satisfying. Is this the pinnacle of success?
I think this is the top. This is Hawk's Peak.
But even at that point, the game doesn't have to be over. You can come down the mountain. You can explore some more. Meet people that you somehow missed on the way up. And the game's camera angle plays a huge role in what I feel makes the game so calming. The game gives you this top-down frame to explore, revealing details a tiny bit at a time. You might have approached an area coming from one direction and thought that you saw all that there was to see, but then you approach it from another direction, you realize that there are valuables that you missed. The game's mechanics make you want to progress and encourage you to chat with all of the other folks on the island. It's cozy, but it's not so cozy that it's boring. Your brain is off and you're just cruising through, trying to find out what you'll encounter next. But honestly, what makes these games different from your run-of-the-mill movies or some sort of immersive art experience? As we mentioned earlier, it's the player involvement. The dead space doesn't seem so boring because you're controlling the in-between. The characters feel like you know them because you've spent literal days with them or embodying them. You're an active participant in these stories, but sometimes that can be hard. The first time I played Consume Me, I had so many feelings that I had to grapple with by being an active participant in this young teen's life. This is a trigger warning for the game. Timestamps are in the description if you'd like to skip to the next section. This game is a semi-autobiographical account of growing up and trying to manage everyone else's expectations of you. Mei Mei is dealing with school, dieting because her mother keeps telling her that she needs to lose weight, and puberty. But the thing that had me thinking about this game being different from movies is because I was feeling everything that Mei Mei was feeling. The difficulty of both feeling full but also trying to lose weight. I felt a little bit guilty for being complicit in this teenager's calorie counting. In the moments when she wasn't able to function at full capacity because I couldn't get her what she needed, zapped me back to my high school years. And despite your best efforts, bad things still happen in the story no matter what you do. This game makes me feel like art because of the mechanics that make me feel like I am a part of what my character is doing, and it makes me deal with my own thoughts and feelings about the topics being brought up. This list of games that we find to be art is not conclusive and is certainly not a ranked list. We could probably make individual full-length videos on all of these games and more of them, so of course we've missed some games and we've missed some details, but we loved your thoughtful conversations in the comment section of the last video, so we hope you'll keep it going. Let us know what we missed and what games you think should be included and why. We tried to choose games that were interesting and varied enough to show that art comes in all shapes and forms within the video game world. Video games are more than the sum of their parts, and though my immediate feelings about their artistic merit were dismissive, I think that was less about my own thoughts and more about society's view on video games. They're just fun time-wasting activities, right? We know better. Art has been deemed to be a lesser pursuit for years now, but being able to paint a picture of the future, to create a narrative that helps someone understand the present, to dare someone to chase the life that they want to actually live, that's power, and that's art. Game developers work hard to integrate you into the worlds that they create. Video games aren't meant to be passively consumed. You as the player have an active role in the art's design. More than any other media, video games ask you to participate in the art itself. Your direct role in the decision-making process of the game, however broad or constrained that might be, colors the emotional experience you have with it. This allows you to connect more deeply with characters, even ones who might not be exactly like you. It allows you to experience life in a different world through a different lens. Maybe giving you pause about the reality you're currently living in. It reawakens parts of you long lost to time. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know below. We're happy to take any suggestions of videos that you might like to see in the future. If you'd like to support this style of content, you can subscribe to our channel or join our Patreon. In addition to making these videos about video games, we're also making a game of our own. It's called Hive and Hollow. It's a cozy game about honeybees, but more on that in another video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Hey, it's me, Cool Girl. I think you should subscribe to our channel or whatever. I don't care. It's whatevs.